The framework I'm about to share with you has generated hundreds of millions of dollars for consultants. And I'm going to walk you through each step of it so that you can see how it can apply to your own consulting business. Now, let me start off and I'll apply or share a bit of context. This framework is at the backbone of the Consulting Success Growth System. We've worked with thousands of consultants all around the world over the last 16 years, helping them to grow their consulting businesses. And at the core of every successful consulting business, this framework can apply. The first step that we take all of our clients through in the Clarity Coaching Program, and the first part of this framework, is profitable targeting. This is where you want to look at and identify who is your ideal client based on very specific criteria. Things like which clients are most likely to have the highest lifetime value, which are most likely to be the most profitable. Where do you believe you will see the greatest demand? What is the alignment between the problem that these people have and how well are you positioned to solve that problem? Have you demonstrated and do you have a track record of results in that specific area that would be of value to that ideal client? What kind of access do you have to that industry or to that market segment? There's several criteria that you need to consider. These are just a few of them that will help you to truly identify the highest value clients. Now, the next part inside of profitable targeting, once you've identified who that ideal client truly is then to develop a message that will get the attention and interest of that ideal client. These days, the average executive, whether in a nonprofit or a for-profit business, they receive 200 to 300 emails per day, sometimes more. So in order for you to get their attention, you really need to develop a message that is different, that really resonates with what they are actively dealing with and thinking about. And if you're not clear on who your ideal client is, it's very hard to develop a message that will speak to any specific person. But when you do this, what ends up happening is you're going to start to see that your marketing will work better, that you will receive more responses to your emails or to your messages on LinkedIn or to the content that you create. And this, in fact, is one of the biggest mistakes that consultants make, both true for consultants that are new as well as those that have been consulting for many years, but oftentimes they've built their business on the back of just referrals and their network. So people often say, hey, I have a marketing problem. I have a lead generation problem, right? I'm not getting as many leads and my marketing isn't creating the kind of results that I thought that it would. And in almost every case, when we kind of analyze consultants' situation, when they come into our programs and we work with them, we can almost always trace it back to lack of, first of all, focus around one specific type of ideal client. But in addition to that they don't have a message that is going to resonate. They don't have a message that is compelling and powerful. So during profitable targeting, we want to nail who your ideal client is. We also want to make sure that you truly have a message that will get the attention and interest of your ideal clients. And we walk through a whole formula for that. So make sure that you also have that in place. And think about it from this perspective as well, that when you kind of look at your ideal client, right, the 80-20 principle is always at play. And we've done analyses on so many consultants and consulting businesses over the years. And what we almost always will see is that the vast majority of any consulting business's profits or the highest value clients comes from a smaller percentage of their overall client base, right? So you want to identify in terms of who you're targeting and making sure that your message aligns with who you're targeting, but that group should be the 20%, meaning the 20% of clients that are highest value, but have the ability and likelihood to generate 80% of your profits. And so when you actually then focus in, right, you're able to remove the 80% of people who are only contributing the 20% of your profits or revenue or opportunity, and then go 100% after the highest value actual ideal clients. So I hope that makes sense. You develop a message then for those people. You then embed that message in all of your marketing, in all of your content. And when you do this the right way, again, you're going to start to see that you'll get a lot more response, right? People will respond to your messages. They'll respond, to your LinkedIn messages or to the emails that you send. They're going to respond to your follow-up. Also, when somebody says, hey, what do you do when you meet them at an event or conference? If they're an ideal client, it's going to get their attention and interest. So they're going to want to have a conversation with you. And that's the real kind of ultimate outcome that consultants see when they go through this process is all of a sudden they start having a lot more conversations because there's a real match and alignment between who their ideal client is. They're clear on that, and the messaging that speaks to that ideal client, because it's what they're talking to that ideal client about is what is top of mind for that person. So, right, they've identified the real problem that person has or the challenge they're facing, the results, the goals that they have, and the consultant is positioned for how they can best serve that person. The other thing is that when you do this the right way, when you go through profitable targeting and you really nail it, you position yourself as an authority in your industry. There's clear differentiation, there's a clear advantage to working with you compared to the competition or compared to the alternatives, and you really start to elevate yourself to the status of being seen as a leader in your industry. Now, the second part of the framework and the consulting success growth system is what we call model mastery. The truth is, right, the reality is that there are many different models that you can use to grow a consulting business. You can remain a solo consultant. You can decide to kind of build a team and use the firm model. You might decide to have more of a productized, services model. All of these can work, and we have clients that do all of these, right? So it's not the model that is the most important thing. It's that you find the right model for you and for your business and for what you want to create. So once you've done that, once you've gone through and really understood the benefits and the challenges of each of the different models and identified which is the right model for your specific situation, what kind of lifestyle do you want to have, what kind of revenue and profit do you want to create in your business, what kind of dynamics do you have, what is the impact that you want to have, all this, there's multiple considerations. I'm just touching on a few of them here. But once you have that, then the next step is to ensure that you have a roadmap. And what we create for our clients is a custom growth roadmap. It shows them over the next 12 months, what are the things that you need to do based on your current revenue and the revenue level that you want to achieve. And then also bringing in and making sure that you have 90-day action plans. So what are you going to do for the next quarter, or for the next 90 days to ensure that you are actually making significant progress on your custom growth roadmap? Now, why do I say custom growth roadmap? There are very specific things that, that every consulting business owner should go through to reach certain levels. So if somebody right now is doing $500,000 per year, if they want to get to $750,000 or $1 million per year, there will be specific steps that you need to do to get there. Or if you're right now doing $1 million, but you want to get to $3 million, again, there will be specific steps, also specific challenges that you're going to need to go through. But your business and your goals, your desire may be a little bit different from somebody else. So all that should be taken into account. And that's why we're so big on making sure that you have a customized growth roadmap. So for your specific situation. Now, the next piece is to ensure that you really work on your offers, your pricing, the systems, the business model. You, as part of model mastery, it's all about how do you take all of your years of experience, your track record, your expertise, and how do you package that? How do you position that? How do you go to the market with that? So that number one, it really kind of lands and connects with what your ideal clients want. So they actually want to buy what you're offering, or they want to buy your expertise, right? They want to buy access to getting your help to solve the problems or challenges that they have and achieving specific outcomes. But the other part of doing this the right way is that the way that you structure your service offerings, the way that you price them strategically, that should also support the type of business model, the lifestyle, how you want to run your business. And that's why it should be customized to your specific goals. Again, we have clients that are, solo consultants doing amazingly well. We have others that have built teams and they want to continue growing their team for different reasons. Both those can work, but they need to be often, handled or navigated in different ways. So when you do this the right way, what it leads to is more profit, more freedom and flexibility for you, and of course, more growth, right? This leads to a business that truly supports your lifestyle. If you don't go through model mastery in the right way, what you can end up finding, and we've seen this with many consultants over the years, is that you build a business that actually just creates another job for you. You become, your own boss, but you kind of have the worst boss because you're trapped inside of this structure that you likely haven't given much thought to. And now you need to make sacrifices inside of your lifestyle, your relationships, hobbies, health, all of those things to support the business. And so we're very big believers that at the top of that triangle, it should be your lifestyle. That you should become very clear on what do you want to create, what is important for you. Maybe it's time with your children, time with elderly parents. Maybe it's really, taking care of your health. Whatever is important for you, that should be at the top. And then you build your business to support that with everything that should be inside of that to ensure that you have a very successful business, but you also have a very successful lifestyle. So we've talked about 50% of the framework now. We've gone over 2 of the 4 steps. And I'm going to talk about and share with you the remaining 50% so that you can see the other 2 steps that make the consulting success growth system so powerful and why it's helped over 1,000 consultants now to grow their businesses and reach that next level. But we've also put together a guide for you that shows you how to go from 6 to 7 figures and beyond. And if you'd like access to that, just go below this video. There'll be a link for you to access that blueprint where you can see step by step what are the best practices, what do you actually need to do to take your business from 6 to 7 figures and beyond. So again, that link for that resource, completely free, our gift to you, just below the video here or somewhere on the page that you can access right away. The third step is developing your predictable pipeline. Now, the first thing that we need to establish, and this is very important for a consulting business, is for you to recognize and understand that the way that marketing is done for a consulting business is different, very different than the way that you do marketing to consumers. This is why when you look at people that are, let's say in an e-commerce business, or they are working with an end consumer, their approach to marketing, the strategy, even the process that they go through, in some cases may be very, very different. And certainly the tactics will be very different. But marketing to business owners, typically savvy business owners or executives inside of organizations, is different. And so it impacts how you do outreach. It impacts how you do follow-up. It impacts how you go about creating content that actually attracts leads. And predictable pipeline, this stage of the framework, is where you really want to define that. We help our clients to get very clear and to put systems in place for how do they do outreach? How do they do follow-up? How do they create content that truly positions them as an authority in their industry and generates leads where their ideal clients respond, they come to them, they say things like, I just saw that article, or I just heard you speak here, or I just saw your webinar or your presentation. I'd like to learn more about that, or I have a situation that I think you could help me with. That's the kind of response that you can generate when you have the right elements in place. When you do marketing the right way, when you have the right systems for this to build your pipeline predictably with consistency. So if you know, hey, I need to have 10 conversations with high value clients every single week or every single month, that the system that you put in place helps you to achieve that. But the other really important factor is that your marketing should in fact help you to build your reputation, not hurt it. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I see right now in the industry, is that when people talk about marketing, when they talk about sales, when they talk about kind of, the business development for their business, oftentimes what they are defaulting to is short-term thinking, transactional type of marketing that really hurts their business. It hurts their reputation, and it should be the exact opposite. Your marketing approach, and this is what we teach our clients inside of this framework and inside of the consulting growth system as part of our Clarity coaching program, is to ensure that you have the right systems in place that actually build your reputation, that make you look like a superstar, that position you as an authority. And so when you do more marketing, you actually are building your reputation, you're generating more leads, you're making your business stronger, you're creating more value and providing more value to the marketplace. People actually want to see you show up more, and then you can leave to the competition the short-term tactics, the transactional mindset, and you can let them hurt their own reputation while you are building your own. So that's what predictable pipeline is all about. It's about having the right systems for your marketing, for your follow-up, for your content that allows you to generate conversations and high quality leads coming to you, right? Responding to you, or even reaching out. Even if you haven't reached out to them, they're just seeing what you're doing and therefore building your business with a lot more predictability and consistency. Now, the final step of the framework is what we call scaling freedom. Now, scaling, this word, in today's environment, people often associate this with building a huge business. But scaling doesn't have to mean building a business with 100 employees or more. Scaling, the way that I look at it and the way that we talk about it at Consulting Success, is all about growing a business with leverage, right? It's all about how you build a business that creates more freedom and flexibility for you. It's about how you can get a lot more out. You put in less, but you get more out. So put another way, right? You get more out than what you put in is what I meant to say. And that's what scaling is about, right? It's about leverage. It's about being smart. It's about how can you create a greater impact? How can you grow your revenue, your profits, right? All of that, your enjoyment, your fulfillment, in a very smart and strategic way. And for some people, that will mean thinking about systems. That will be thinking about building team. For others, right, it will be not about necessarily having more people, but it'll be ensuring that you're doing the right things. You have the right structures and the right strategy for your pricing, for your offers. Maybe you're bringing in productization. For many consulting business owners, they actually become the biggest bottleneck in their business. And if your business relies fully on you, you end up operating essentially as an employee, right, inside your own business. And if that's what you're doing, and you're spending all of your time doing your own delivery, doing every aspect of the business, it generally means that you're not going to have a lot of time to just think about the future of the business, right? To think about what do you need to do to grow the business, to think about where can I achieve greater leverage and greater opportunity. And this is why for most CEOs, the place that they should be getting to is where they have time to think, where they have time to look at the business, where they have time to think, also consider where can I create the most value for the business? Is it about bringing in, a new A player and rock star to join our team? Is it about creating a partnership with someone or some organization that could really take our business to the next level? Is it about creating some new IP, right, intellectual property, or launching some new offering? If you don't have time to think about those things and work on those things, you're likely just going to continue just doing business as usual. And business as usual, in almost all cases, doesn't lead to achieving next level growth, doesn't lead to you being able to benefit from kind of next level thinking and greater opportunities that are all around you. So if you're doing everything in your business right now, it's incredibly important that you start to think about, how can I create more freedom? How can I have better systems in my business? How can I ensure the business can run without my day-to-day involvement? Or if you're a solo consultant, what do you need to do to make sure that the time you spend on the business is very, very strategic? As you do this, you will naturally increase the value of the business. The less reliance that there is on you as an individual, the more valuable your business becomes. If your business is a solo business, that's totally fine, but you're not going to be building that business to sell it because you are the business. But if you are building your business with productization, or you are building your business with a team, and you have a desire, or at least you want to have the ability or the option to sell your business in the future, everything inside of Scaling Freedom becomes incredibly important, because not only will it create more freedom and flexibility for you, not only will you have better systems, not only will the business be able to run without your day-to-day involvement, not only will you also then have more time to create for strategic thinking, planning, looking at the future. All of those things mean that the business will become more valuable if you decide to sell it in the future. But even if you don't, you will still be able to reap the benefits, much, much sooner. So this is about achieving the ultimate lifestyle, whether you have a team or you don't. We have clients right now that are solo independent consultants that do between $500,000 to $750,000 per year. And for them, Scaling Freedom, when we work with them in this area, is all about how do they ensure that they are being very strategic with the time that they have? How do they ensure that they're really working with the highest value clients? How do they ensure that their pricing strategy is optimized? How do they ensure their schedule is optimized, right? How do they ensure that the marketing that they're doing is going to have the greatest impact? Because if you're solo, you need to be very, very kind of aligned or tuned into where you are allocating your time, because that is your greatest asset. And we have others that have small teams, and they're doing anywhere from $1 million, $2 million, $3, $4, $5 million per year, or in some cases more. And for them, the focus is going to be very different, right? It's about hiring strategically. It's about building better systems for the team, in a strategic way. It's about making sure that everybody on the team is spending their time doing the highest value work, right? And working to optimize the team and the operations for every department of the organization. So that's what Scaling Freedom is all about. And for an established business owner, this is why we don't start with Scaling Freedom, because there's no point trying to optimize something if you're too early stage. But the greatest opportunity for any business, right, once they are established, is not necessarily about doing brand new things. It's about optimizing and knowing what to optimize within what's already working for you, so that you can get even greater outcomes and outputs from what you've already established. This is the kind of stuff that we do all day long with clients in the Clarity Coaching Program. Even if you're not ready for the Clarity Coaching Program, we have many resources over at Consulting Success. We have the Consulting Success podcast. We have hundreds and hundreds of articles and resources. And again, below this video, you can find a link to a blueprint that shows you how to go from 6 to 7 figures, and is packed with best practices that have worked for thousands of consultants that we've helped over the years. I hope that you found this video helpful. If there's other topics that you'd like me to cover in an upcoming video, please leave a comment below or get in touch. We're always happy to hear from consultants like you.